Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to a new video here. I know our last several videos have been focused on foreign policy and Iran, for example. Again, we're still awaiting the Israeli attack on Iran. The new update is that we have agreed to a set of attack targets by Netanyahu, but we're still waiting on that. But I thought today we discuss some of the ongoing domestic politics news. So we actually had a pretty significant interview today in terms of the campaign for Harris. She actually just completed an interview with Fox News with Brett Baier, and it was pretty combative, guys. I'm going to be totally honest. It was more combative than I even expected. Now, I think the reason was a lot of Republicans and the Trump people, they were kind of letting Baier hear it before the interview. They were basically saying, okay, this can't be a softball. Are they going to give her the questions? So and so, all that. Now, I wonder if this influenced Baier in his questioning. And after the interview, you're seeing people on the left saying, "Oh, he was rude. He was didn't let her speak." There was a couple of times where she's speaking and he's talking over her and interrupting. This is the Vice President of the United States. You should let her give her an answer. There was a couple of times where I thought it was pretty disrespectful, but for the most part, I thought it was tough journalism and good questioning. For the most part, I thought it was a fair job. It was a difficult adversarial interview. There's no question about it. I'm skeptical he would do the same for Trump, and he's interviewed Trump in the past, and he's done a decent job. But there's no question he was more adversarial towards the vice president here. But let's get into it. Again, from the get-go, it was very hostile, or maybe that's not the right word, adversarial from the very beginning in terms of the questioning. Now, I will say one of the problems for Harris is that she hasn't really done many hostile interviews in this sense. So, when they're asked some questions that she probably wouldn't get from a lot of friendly interviewers, such as Biden's cognitive ability, she seemed a little like, whoa, like startled, like she didn't know what to say. And I feel like that's probably because she should have done more combative interviews with Fox a couple months ago rather than now. But I still think overall it wasn't like, it's not going to change the needle that much in any way, but it was just interesting to see. Now, they were asking the vice president, for example, about the border, what would you do to change? And again, she stuck to Trump had a plan to kill the plan for the border that should have been passed, but it was not passed because Trump killed it. That was what she stuck to. But Baier kept pressing her. That's the thing. Baier kept pressing her on certain things that many interviewers might have let her get away with, but not Baier. Because, of course, many of her former policies were far more liberal on the issue of immigration, but she's changed her policies, and it does seem as though she has difficulty explaining why she changed her policy. And I think it's pretty obvious, because she can't be the candidate for president and realistically win with many liberal policies or progressive policies, at least on the issue of immigration. She feels as though it's a losing issue, so she has to moderate. But she can't say that because obviously it doesn't look good. Honestly, I think it might not even look as bad as saying what she's saying now, because it does kind of seem word salady in a sense. But whatever. I don't think, but that was an interesting part to start off. Now, again, I think Harris kept attacking Trump, of course. Again, Baier showed a clip of Trump. We're talking about like the enemy from within, and basically Harris said it was a misleading clip because when Trump's discussing a lot of those quotes, it's in a different context. So I feel like Baier was trying to frame a certain narrative that was not accurate, but Harris was able. Basically, she was challenging Baier, and this was kind of the part where there were several interruptions that were being made where I just thought Baier kind of crossed over the line a little bit. But again, to be fair, it was, what do you expect? It's Fox News. She has to be prepared. She's trying to be president of the United States here. So I don't think it was a big deal either way. Now, again, I'm not sure if you guys saw on The View, pretty viral, of The View host asked the vice president whether or not she would change any policies from the Biden administration. And she said no. Whether you like Biden or not, that's just not a smart thing to say. You should probably say, and then she went on Colbert after and said, "Oh yeah, I would. I'm not Joe Biden." Like, oh, and they all cheered. But like, guys, come on. That's just not. You gotta be a little better than that. And she basically said today was, I would not be a continuation of the Biden presidency. But it just seems as though it's not specific enough. She does not want to insult Biden, it seems. That's my perception of it. But I think on that, I think on many of these answers, she's not giving enough descriptive answers, in my opinion. But again, it's not that significant. Again, you look at Trump and many of the clips of him, a lot of his answers are not full of substance either. If we're being fair, guys, come on. And again, Baier then asked her about turning the page, because the Harris campaign keeps saying we're going to turn the page from Donald Trump. Now, I think this is interesting too, because a lot of people would say, you know what, Trump has not been president the last 4 years, so why are you trying to turn the page? You're the sitting vice president. And I think that's an interesting, it's totally a fair question. I think a lot of it is because that it's more the fact that, and she said this, Trump has been in the picture for the last 4 to 8 years, for the last decade. That's what she means. But Baier's point is, God, well, you've been the president. When the people are answering questions on, is the country going in the wrong direction, they're not talking about that. But again, very combative, but I can see, I thought her answer was fine. She said, because Trump's still been in the picture. People just want to turn the page from, everyone's fighting with each other over this. And I'm not sure it's gotten to this level pre-Trump. I mean, this is obviously a symptom of Trumpism, at least in recent years. Some would blame the left, some would blame the right, but there's no question Trump's injection into the American political landscape has been a major factor in all of this. But again, it's interesting because it was interesting to see her go in this. It'll be interesting to see if she goes on Joe Rogan, if Trump will go on Joe Rogan, because both of them are kind of hitting the podcast circuits. Trump has been doing it for far longer. But we'll see. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what comes of this interview. I think it's good that she's going on Fox News. You got to try to appeal to as big an audience as possible, guys. And just going on these friendly liberal networks is not going to work. Actually, Trump, if I was Trump, you should be going on liberal networks too. Trump really has not done many liberal podcasts, or he's going on relatively friendly shows. Again, even the Call Her Daddy, I think they asked him, why would you not go on there as Trump? I mean, you should be going to all these liberal sources trying to get your message out. But I guess the argument would be, well, he's more of a known commodity than Harris. But I don't know. The last question was on Iran. Baier, typical foreign policy, Harris had the answer of, Iran is her biggest enemy, which is very, I thought was strange to say that over China or even Russia, but she did say that. And there was a discussion back and forth on that, but it was a very combative interview. I thought she stood her ground, but it'll be spun. The liberals will say, she did good, Baier was rude. I guarantee you that'll be the narrative. You can probably look at it now. And then on the Republicans will say, she did terrible, she folded under pressure. And there was a couple answers where I thought it took a while for her to get there. She just seemed a little unprepared on some of the difficult questions about Biden, for example. But overall, I thought she stood her ground. It was fine. I think it's good that she's doing these interviews, trying to talk to as many people as possible. We live in a democracy. You should be going to all these outlets, getting your message to all these people. Trump should do the same thing. But overall, it's pretty interesting to see. And guys, again, once the Israeli attack happens, we'll get you back on that. We'll have a video immediately after it happens. So we'll probably come out with some more election stuff over the next few days. And guys, we're less than 3 weeks away. I mean, it's pretty insane. But stay tuned. So I'll see you guys in a few days.